So I think also, because it's a single page, you don't get lost on it like a big traditional website. Single page landing pages have been built for gathering conversions for a long time in digital marketing. And actually, this is just a similar thing for a one-man band or a small business where you just have a very focused attention on what you want customers to know.
Welcome, builders, to How Would You Build It? The podcast that dives deep into the dynamic world of startups and product creation right here in South Africa and Africa. This show is more than just interviews. Every week, we sit down with the brilliant minds to provide a masterclass for building digital products amidst the challenges and opportunities unique to our continent. From seasoned founders to dynamic product managers, we uncover the unique stories and strategies behind some of the most innovative digital products being built. So for all the aspiring founders and product builders out there, you'll discover that each episode is a wealth of practical wisdom and local and actionable insights. Make sure to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to our podcasts and connect with us on social media for even more content. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, builders, to another episode of How Would You Build It? It's episode 65. Rainier, still surviving the cold in the Cape. How are you doing today?
It's very freezing today specifically. I mean, it's raining, but now the clouds are pulled away and we're feeling the snow, that's for sure.
Yeah, at least our Bitcoin is doing better than the weather these days. Just putting
Tell
it
me
out
about
there.
it.
Yeah.
The Germans are done dumping.
Thank goodness.
Went up
The
20%.
Germans.
Yeah, it's up, and it's better than the weather. I'm sorry, we haven't spoken crypto in a long time, so I just have to throw it in there. But anyways, before we go down the wrong rabbit hole, Trevor, thanks for joining. You are the founder of Savvy Sites, and we're excited to hear about your story. Welcome, and how are you doing?
I'm doing great today. I'm staying warm and I'm really excited to speak to you guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Brilliant. Cool. So Trevor, I think to set the scene, I mean, we try and keep it as succinct as possible, but if you can give us the elevator pitch, what is Savvy Site? Can you just tell us what problem are you solving?
Sure. So Savvy Sites is the simplest way for entrepreneurs to get online and start selling. Our platform helps early stage entrepreneurs to look professional, get found on search engines, and connect with payment platforms and other free tools. And we like to think of our product as being more powerful than a tree of links and much less painful than WordPress. And so Savvy brings it all together in one place, and it is everything you need and nothing you don't to get online and to help you with your journey in entrepreneurship.
Brilliant. I'm excited to dive into the space, and obviously we're going to be asking you some questions about how you got from 0 to 1 and how you've been able to build up a bit of a client base and customer base and get to understand where you are as a company now or as a startup. So, but yeah, Rainier, do you want to take us over? You want to start drilling Trevor on understanding the space?
Yeah, no. When Trevor and I started engaging in LinkedIn, I immediately thought, it's something that seems so obvious to most people. And we joke in startup world, like when you register a domain, you can say things are getting pretty serious. But that's not the case for most businesses out there. Like doing a bit of research, there's 2.5 million small or micro enterprises in South Africa, and only 1.3 million registered domains on .co.za. So there's obviously a lot of people doing business that aren't online, and something that can help them get online, even if it's just basic. I think is a really cool idea. So here we are chatting about it. And Trevor, I mean, this is the art of it, right? It's really to help these guys get going and get their first website up so they can at least get some traction and look more professional.
Yeah, definitely. I think what we've seen, Rainier, is an emerging behavior as we've launched in terms of our different use cases and customer sets. And so there's some people that are just trying to start and showcase their side hustle. They have great services and skills and they want to get online. And they've realized that social media is not necessarily good enough for them. And they want to take the next step and create their own showcase and space for their business. And so a lot of the use cases are either people showcasing the service and then connecting or promoting, connecting to them on WhatsApp, or they are trying to sell product. And so that's been the sort of the major themes of people that are coming into the product. But we've also seen people leave other complicated platforms. So they've been pushed off those platforms for various reasons. So it might be cost, the annual renewal might be coming up, and they don't really understand why they need to pay the amount that they do. A lot of these people are like single solo entrepreneurs or one-man band type businesses. So it's great to see the sort of emerging needs and use cases for our product, and also just that there is really a problem here to solve.
Mm. I can't help but hear the way you mentioned that and think about how the word side hustle became so popular in 2020. And a lot of people sitting at home working remote now had the capacity to pursue a little side hustle, a hobby, or a passion project and actually do something about it.
A newsletter, Bobby.
A
Yes.
podcast. Exactly.
In
So,
good
Trevor,
company.
can you tell us about these ideal clients that you are you've touched on at social media? Can you just dive in a little bit deeper? Maybe give us an example of a success story of someone that signed up and is starting to do well using Savvy Site.
Sure. So I think it's also important to establish that Savvy Sites has a freemium SaaS business model. And so people can come onto the platform and build something for free. And you can have limited features, and then you can move to the paid plan, and then you can actually add like more of our content blocks and do more with the product. And so the other week, this is actually a great example of, I think, a use case for our product and why we built the product. Was we found that there was a online English tutor using TikTok to teach English online. And when they signed up, we saw this person had designed a very simple and actually very light kind of Savvy site and added it to her TikTok account, because we see what people add in terms of their social media connections and what they add to the site. So we went onto her TikTok account and saw that she had 9,000 followers. And within about 2 weeks or so, she had 13,000 followers. And then we started looking at the stats and the usage of the site link itself. So our strategy is to use subdomains for the sites. So it's quick and easy. You don't need to go and register a custom domain, like Renier said. It's really quick and easy just to create a subdomain and then add it to your social media. And we found that this tutor had received 6,000 visits to her Savvy site in the space of 3 or 4 weeks. And those visits had come from around the world. It wasn't just the South African market. So I think it's a great use case for someone who's showcasing her skill set that can be delivered digitally to either local or global markets. She can teach people English anyway. And that comes from, obviously TikTok is a great place to deliver the part of the content, but the place where you're actually just going to find out what the product and services are about are actually on a really quick, simple, mobile-friendly, easy-to-use site.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important point to mention, Trevor, because a lot of people, that aren't natives on TikTok or Instagram or make an effort to understand, the content game and how to grow your following. You can't talk about your English tutoring classes 90% of the time because you'll lose all your followers. So, you typically use a different strategy to get people onto the account. And then through a link like this, it provides a catalog where people then can browse. So, if you put the numbers that you go 6,000 people coming to someone's page in after following them on social in 4 weeks. Now, for a side hustle or a small business or a micro enterprise or a single operator business, 6,000, and they convert 1% of that, that's what is that? 60 customers, which is way more than they can handle. So, and that's really what makes this magic, right? If you can build a following on social and you can have this in place and it's nicely structured and you can see 0.1% conversion, it's already brings in substantial numbers for small operators.
Exactly. So I think also, because it's a single page, you don't get lost on it like a big traditional website. Single page landing pages have been built for gathering conversions for a long time in digital marketing. And actually, this is just a similar thing for a one-man band or a small business where you just have a very focused attention on what you want customers to know. In terms of the use cases, Bobby, you were asking what are those other use cases? We had a customer who left Wix. They were paying 6,000 Rand a year for an e-commerce store, and they decided to come and use our platform as a replacement. And they're using WhatsApp and payment links as a way to kind of engage customers. They have a showcase. We have product cards where you can add a bunch of different products to the site. And they actually also came with our pro plan, you can get a free domain on the annual subscription. So he actually abandoned his domain with Wix, abandoned his e-commerce store, and came to our product, started using it, and then took us up on the free annual domain registration and uses this instead. So I think there's
That's awesome.
really, really interesting use cases in terms of being an alternative to some of those really big incumbents. And it's quite scary going up against those guys, but there's plenty of opportunity, certainly in the South African space and also in the sort of African entrepreneur space.
Mm. So I mean, if we talk practically, like who's this best for? What I'm hearing you say is like tutors, that's great. Home industries, anybody that makes something at home typically sells it over
Yep.
WhatsApp. I can imagine like beauty parlors, you want to book a to do your nails or do your hair, you can see the catalog, you can go in there and book something. What else is this good for?
So that's exactly it. So at the moment, we're splitting our ideal customer profiles into people who are trying to look professional and create like a professional profile, a bit like a Linktree type page. We had a chiropractor create a page, and then they can link to their preferred booking platforms. Then other people trying to showcase a service. So the beauty industry has actually there's quite a few people. We've got a woman from Port Elizabeth, I think it is, who is doing braids and different hair extensions. And she actually has quite a big operation with people all over the country that she kind of works with offering this service. So she's got sort of a reduced catalog on our site. And then she's uploaded images of her full catalog. I think the hair industry is actually, apparently the hair extension industry is massive.
It's enormous.
And the
Yeah,
beauty
huge.
industry is obviously really big, and it's like a perfectly like local service type business that might want something like this.
Yeah.
And then people trying to actually physically sell products. So the chap who came from Wix roasts coffee beans, and you can order coffee beans from him and various different mocha pots and that type of stuff, accessories.
Very cool.
And I think he's got a roaster at home, and he's actually, I think he told us that he's about 60. So he's a great use case for our simple product. They say you should. What do they say about the mom test? You should make sure it's really easy to use. So I think that's great that we've got someone that's come over and adopted our product and is just doing this because he's retired and he's wants to make some cash.
Yeah, I must say that mom test is becoming quite a popular reference. It's coming up in our podcast more and more, but it is what it is, as popular as it is for a reason. And actually, that was leading up to my question I wanted to ask you. There's so many variable use cases. How do you find those ideal clients, and how are you doing your market research to get to know them, understand their needs, understand them, and then prioritize what features they need when you're up against the Wix that can provide all sorts of things? So how are you finding this out? Because somebody that's doing braids in the township versus someone roasting coffee, it's very different, right?
It is very different. And look, I mean, we know that we can't be everything to everyone. We are a horizontal SaaS, right? So the use cases have been emerging. We have been lucky enough to see a lot more traction this year compared to last year, where we are actually seeing the signals for these use cases, and validating and invalidating some of the features that we've been designing and building. We can talk a little bit about bootstrapping as well and how you do that with limited resources, and certainly going up against the big guys. It's you need to choose carefully. But I think you're asking a great question, because one of our differentiators has been just being available on WhatsApp and providing really good support and customer service. So that's been like consistent feedback from our customers to say that they trust us because we always get back to them. And so we're not some echo chamber, like massive company that is unavailable, and you have to go through, like, you can't even find the contact form or email address or where you need to go if you need help from a really big platform. So I think that's what we know we need to do is to be really customer focused. We do continuous research to answer your question. So we aim to speak to customers every week. It's not always possible, but we have, I think, interviewed like probably 50 to 60 different people, and we found that we really need to meet them to where they are. So sometimes we just have a WhatsApp call with them. We thought we could meet some people on Zoom and Google for an hour, but that was unrealistic. And so we've had to tailor our approach to customer service and customer research based off the sort of different needs of or the people that we really want to speak to, and just find out a little bit more about what it is they're trying to solve for. And we have done a lot of that, and we've got some good information from them.
I love it. Rainier, there's something that I think is becoming an international trend as technology becomes a little bit easier to actually build, is, to Trevor's point, his differentiator, which is localization. And I feel like as the, whatever that law is that makes things easier to build, and obviously with AI, it's becoming a lot easier to build. The differentiator is that personalization within a localized environment. I just want to get where you see that trend going into the next couple of years.
No, I think a lot of people that have been early adopters of tech, I've hit in South Africa, I've hit that brick wall at some point of trying to reach customer support and just realizing it doesn't exist. Like there's a ticketing system or an email but and then they take a day to reply, and then it's just sometimes it's impossible to get anything done. What's even worse is as soon as they find out you're in Africa, they're like, you just seem to go down on the priority list. It's like it's not that important to them. And specifically if you ask for anything to be localized, I mean, I don't blame them. It's just the nature of they're building a highly scalable business. They don't want to have call centers because the cost of that is exorbitant. They want to try and handle everything online. And to the extent, actually, I think they've changed now. But at one time, I was in an emergency in an Uber, and there's no emergency button. You can cancel the Uber, but if you request a new one, you're in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to find anyone. So now you're next to the road, there's nothing you can do. And Uber just tried to scale, their customer support to such an extent that you literally can't reach them. Which I know they've now changed, but that was back then. But that's the philosophy of all these companies, right? So if you have a company that's building a SaaS product similar to SavvySite, and you want something custom, or you're getting stuck or something, then good luck trying to speak to a human to sort that problem out. And we've seen it, if you think about like some other localization players, like many software companies locally, in each industry there's a niche software product that somehow just service that industry well, and then because of that great customer support, have really built a moat around them. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for great customer service and specifically servicing customers in South Africa in a way that helps them. So yeah, I definitely see that as an opportunity. And I can understand, if you're new to tech, you're not going to use WordPress. Now you want to use something else. If you get stuck, you want to speak to a human. I think that helps a lot.
And Trevor, your solution is
obviously
actually enabling this even more, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think also from a software as a service point of view, one needs to be careful with needing a lot of customer support, right? I think it's also, we're an incredibly affordable product, and it's still early phase. So we actually pride ourselves on the fact that a lot, like, it's completely self-serve, and so, but when people need you or have a question, we are responsive. So the large majority of the people that are using the product don't need us in order to use the product and build and actually get a meaningful result. And like 87% of those people are actually just using their mobile phones. So I think that's also just another important point, is that when we talk about people starting their side hustle, we also live in a continent where people are mobile only. And so we really feel like it's important to build a really easy to use product that is completely mobile first, so that people can self-serve and they can build something quickly and meaningfully, and something that doesn't require too much support.
But just on the localization thing, I think, Trevor, something that you guys have in your advantage as well is you could partner with local companies which international companies would never partner with. I mean, to give an example, I mean, local payment providers, or working with local government to do XYZ, or getting getting 60/60 to do something in partnership. So you can do stuff like that because you are localized and you kind of ingrained in how culture functions, how business operates, how the people that are doing things here. I mean, if you Uber and you want to run a localized campaign, it's not that easy. Like, it's in some territories, some of those products just completely ignored it because it just doesn't scale. So I think that's a big advantage, being able to localize that way.
Yeah, I think it's a great point in terms of how we feel like the opportunity is to be regionally focused and to solve problems and to leverage good partnerships in the market. One of those examples is, I think, when you're buying online, there's all different ways that you can fulfill. I mean, think of how Paxi has used the Pep Store network in order to do delivery of parcels. So, which is a really, really clever thing to do in terms of, because we don't have a reliable postal service. So there's plenty of opportunities, I think, in terms of how we work with partners, certainly as we explore the commerce opportunity that we're seeing in the use of the product. And yeah, it's really exciting to have meaningful conversations with partners. We've been having a lot of them recently, both in the NGO space in terms of helping grassroots entrepreneurs to get online, but also in the payment space and in the space of just working with people, solving this problem for people here.
Yeah, I love it. And just by the way, if there are people listening at this point, if you're looking for a partner, if you're looking for other people in the ecosystem, sign up to the open letter, join the pro community, and you'll get access to a whole bunch of founders, designers, product managers, you name it, that can help you leverage that partnership, right, Renier? Putting a plug.
Yeah, and a lot of memes and fun. So no, it's a growing community. We've got more than 20 founders in there, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, come check it out. Come join us, and let's build valuable businesses together.
Let's build an ecosystem, right?
Let's do it.
So before we clicked on the record button, Trevor, you started telling us about your bootstrapping experience, and then Renier, you told us about your founder style or the profile as such. I just want to understand, because Trevor, you said that you're a bit of a perfectionist, but when you're bootstrapping, it makes it quite hard, right?
Yeah, it really does. I think, my background is design. I was also a front-end developer for a little bit. So I've got like both a design and technical background. And bootstrapping means that you have constraints, and you are obviously looking for signals and trying to figure out whether you are solving the right problem. And I think, launching, we did a couple of series of MVPs, if you like. So what you see today on Savvy Sites is, I think, probably like officially version 2, but we had a beta, and then we had version 1, and then we had like version 2 launched during the course of last year as we had some technical debt. But I think, it's really hard, to the perfectionist point, looking at the product sometimes, and you still think we very MVP in certain areas. But if there's perfectionists out there, I feel your pain, but you have to launch and you have to validate whether you're building the right thing, especially if you're bootstrapping. So it's a great reminder to just get something out and then see if your use cases are correct, and speak to customers and then iterate on that. So yeah, it's been really, really good to realize that you hear it, but actually experiencing it is completely different.
You mentioned that you're part of an agency. I didn't know that. Can you just explain like how the Savvy site was actually born out of an agency, and how do you put money and allocate attention and resources to it when you're trying to get it off the ground and just start getting that flywheel going? Can you just tell us about that experience?
Yeah, sure. So Savvy has been incubated in the other business that I run called Orc Studio. We've been doing user experience design and building apps and products for quite some time. And the genesis of the idea was when we were working with a corporate that was, I guess, also working in actually buying third-party software from another provider in I think it was in the US, and just seeing the lack of quality in that solution, and realizing that a lot of these small businesses were being provided a platform that wasn't really delivering at all I think it was very clear that these small businesses could get a solution that wasn't really working at all. So we felt like we really wanted to try and tackle the space, and we built our first MVP, which was really just the static site itself. And we wanted to validate one of our core assumptions, which was, could a single site rank on Google really quickly and above some of the other more complex and even directory type sites? And
Cool. I love the way you phrased that. It like puts a very specific outcome that you're looking to achieve. I love the way you just explained that. Like people struggle to define what their MVP is, and you just did that very well.
Yeah, so I think it was a really risky assumption to think that you could go up against at an SEO level that you could rank on Google. It's something we still have validated today on the subdomains, but I literally went down around the neighborhood and tried to find a hardware business where I could try and validate this assumption for them. And within, I think it was a month, we were ranking above Brady's, above the Facebook page, and above their holding page, which hadn't been built. And this was just on the sort of brand name keyword term. And it was a great validation point that we knew that, okay, maybe we've got something here. Maybe we can build a product that is that can really be simple and help a small business to kind of get found online. So we didn't go out and invest in the website builder because that was a big job. We just rather wanted to figure out, okay, what are the core things that people would want and businesses would care about? And then on the customer side, a big part of what we also want to solve for is the customer experience of going to a small business website. I mean, how many times have you been to a Facebook page and then seen a link and then gone to a holding page, or gone to one of those security pages where the SSL certificate has expired because maybe the small businesses lost a relationship with their freelancer, or they had a friend build it, or like a girlfriend or a boyfriend or someone that's set the WordPress website up for them. There's many incidents where you can find a use case or a painful story of building a website. So yeah, I think we really wanted to try and tackle some of these core things and make it a lot less painful. And I guess even though our brand name is Savvy Site, we were not really like your traditional website at all. We really trying to break away from the perception that you might need a website. And I think that's what we really are doing differently, is building really quick and fast pages that deliver on our value proposition.
Awesome, Chet. So is the plan in future to build out more e-commerce-like modules? I mean, if we're talking about the social seller, the guys on Instagram, TikTok, or the person on WhatsApp, I mean, a web e-commerce experience from social into Savvy Site into paying, I think that'll be great. Is that something that's on your radar?
Renee, it's definitely on our radar. We've seen a lot of people coming online to sell product. And I think we've also looked at the competitors in terms of traditional e-commerce. I think I'm not the only one that thinks the shopping cart experience and the long checkout experience is often terrible. There's even plugins and things built just around abandoned checkout processes. And I think there's plenty of ways to improve the user experience and the customer experience in mobile commerce. And we're really excited about what we're working on.
I'm quite interested. So we spoke now about developing that MVP and wanting to be searchable on Google. What was your initial go-to market strategy? Like, when did you say, cool, we're doing this? Can you just tell us how you went about doing that? And obviously I'm asking from the perspective of a founder that also wants to pull their trigger on a go-to-market.
Yeah, I think our go-to-market strategy could be improved. If there's people out there that have really good growth and digital marketing expertise, I'd be very keen to speak to you.
Everyone's learning, my friend. Everyone's learning.
I think we have some really core skills in product development and tech and design, and but it's it feels like you are in digital marketing. It just feels really tricky. You were asking about so how we bootstrapped the product internally. I'll touch on that too. So we decided that we were going to take Savvy into a soft launch and to try and attract early adopters. I think it was May, June last year. And we thought that, we'd start with Instagram marketing and Facebook ads. And we connected to some early adopters, but it was far less successful than we had ever thought. And we were doing a lot of social media content, making memes, having fun, laughing, really enjoying ourselves in terms of the painful alternatives out there. But it was not converting and attracting any customers. So I think it's a space where we knew that we needed to try multiple channels, and experiment more with SEO, with partnerships, with various other techniques. And so, yeah, to answer the question in terms of how we thought about it, was I think we were quite surprised at how slow it really could be in terms of a launch. We didn't have a big mailing list or a big newsletter with 15,000 people on it like you guys. And
one day at a time.
And they say you should build an audience, right? So that's one of the techniques if you want to kind of have a good solid launch strategy. We tried everything. We thought we could do wait lists and attract people in various different ways. But yeah, I think by October, November last year, we were like, oh my goodness, we were feeling we've built the wrong product, we've done the wrong thing. We were tired and we just weren't sure what to do. So we shifted strategy and we started to use a product by this billion-dollar company called Google. And we started using some Google ads and the difference between, I think, building or doing marketing to people that might be curious about your product versus people that are trying to solve the problem now is massive. And that's how we really got our strongest signals, was actually just on a very modest budget, going for search ads where people are trying to solve the problem now. And I think our other strategies are also starting to take hold, which I can chat about if you want to know about a bit more about that.
Sorry, I missed that last part. We learn more about what?
So, well, we obviously know that we can't compete just by buying Google ads. So
right.
For a freemium SaaS application like ours, we're working on our growth strategy in terms of SEO and link backs from our free sites to our actual paid sites. And so, we're monitoring how our traction is working. And I think what we know and what we found is that social media does well for brand awareness, and we're seeing some word of mouth from that. And it also does well for credibility. But if you really want, what has worked for us is making sure that we are there when people are actually looking to solve the problem, and they've got a high intent on doing that.
So Trevor, this is such an important point because I think a lot of founders start out and then they go, oh, you're just going to market and you're going to get customers, but it's not that simple because the complexity comes in, because in most cases people are building a product that is not needed right now, even though you're speaking to the right people, right? Your product might be something I use a few months from now, but it's not something I need right now. Now, the complicated part is if you just focus on conversion, you're going to miss me now. And 6 months from now, when I want to build a site, then your budget's going to be spent on trying to convert people instead of making me remember, oh, there's that thing that I need to savvy site. Let me go check it out and build. And I think that is very important, as a founder, even early on. Big brands do this, right? Coca-Cola, they don't put up signs to convert. They put up signs to be top of mind when you're not sure what you want to drink, and you go, let me have a Coke.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's actually important in the early stages as well. So I love that you speak about, doing content marketing, because there's a lot of free stuff. And we, shameless punt, we do some content writing services through a company called Stream. And one of the stuff we do in there is saying, okay, how does one use the free channels, social and your website, etc., to just be as top of mind as possible, and through partnerships and other things, so that you can actually grab that guy by the time he's ready to buy. It's not that asynchronity between when he wants to buy and when you're speaking to him is very complicated.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great point, and I think that's why I'm saying I think for us being user experience designers primarily, it's been quite interesting and quite a learning curve for us in terms of why you would use different channels and for what reasons. but there's also some good advice out there. And I think for me, what I tend to do is try to find the best podcasts and listen to what SaaS founders are doing, particularly in SaaS, and boil it down to some of the principles around how you can kind of get your name out there. I mean, or get your brand out there, and you've got to be kind of strategic and definitely in terms of that. And it is a long game. I mean, to give you an idea, one of our top blog articles is like the 6 best banks for small businesses in South Africa. And so we're looking at various different guides and SEO related content as well. That's back to the point of me about being regionally focused. That advises people on how they can build something and guide them with specific tools that can help them in terms of the South African context or where they are regionally.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what you mentioned earlier with that social media customer that you had 3,000 people, followers, whatever, and we're from around the world. Because a lot of people just want to say, like, everyone like, hey, I've got an idea, you start building, I'm just going to do some Facebook ads and Instagram ads and whatever, and I'll start getting some customers. And it's never so easy, to the point that you guys just made. You might just be catching the wrong person at the wrong time. What's interesting about someone that's got a 3,000 person audience or a 6,000 person audience, and that's around the world, all of a sudden you could have people from, Turkey signing up to Savvy because they saw her thing, and it starts this interesting flywheel. And I'm wondering if you've seen anything like that yet.
So I think what's really inspiring is seeing the list of cities from South Africa in our Google Analytics and realizing how widespread the brand has been seen already. In the last year, we did have some signups from some other countries like in Kenya and Nigeria. We haven't really focused on that yet. We feel like we want to get some of our product pieces like a little bit more sort of bedded down before we start spreading ourselves thin. We have this Slack channel that pushes all the sites into the channel every day, and so it's already like a bit of a fire hose to kind of look at, and we really want to pay close attention to where we are now before we kind of like build out that flywheel. But I think what we can see is that our organic traffic is really gaining momentum. And this is purely through part of the product strategy.
And just out of interest, you bootstrapping. Can you just tell me your team? How big is your team? Are you outsourcing your dev? How is that working?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't go deeper into the Org Studio piece. So we've been using the Org Studio team. There's a core team of 5 or 6 of us. So development, back-end developer, front-end developer, product owner,
all in-house.
Myself, customer support. It's all in-house. We definitely are using the depth of our skills across the team, and then we pull in other people that we may need on things like brand or copywriting, or maybe an additional back-end developer as we build sort of more complex pieces of the product. So we've had to do that. I think just to the bootstrapping part, it's been, I think I spoke about the sort of perfectionism and the MVP point. I mean, we would love to be building out way more sort of design templates for our product. We're a design-led business, but it's really a balancing act in terms of what we need to like build and ship now. So we built out the analytics piece with an additional person in our team. We built out the domain registration piece, and then we've got a slightly more like, we have to think strategically. We can't just I think tactically about things like we need more design templates for our product. We really need to like think of how we can move to these higher value customers that we're seeing coming in on a daily basis and try to solve this problem of getting online. So it's the bootstrapping inside a company is actually also quite difficult. We've been doing it for like I say, like well over a year. But we feel like we've built a strong brand. We've really validated the need, and we're really keen to take the next step. And we're actually looking for a minority investor at the moment, because we feel like we've really uncovered a real need in the market for this for solo entrepreneurs and people building their side hustle. So yeah, we're excited to.
So on that, Trev, if you were to get money and you can hire one person, okay, what will that person do, and why?
Why only one? It's a great
Well,
question.
I want to find out what's the most
that's
important one.
yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, like I said, the digital strategy is for us. It's not a core expertise that we have immediately in house. We've had
So
some.
growth
We
hacking
have
it really.
we have leaned on some people. Like I said, we do a lot of reading, listening. We do a lot of experiments. But I think we're good at our core skill is development, design, user experience, and we're getting better at understanding marketing and digital marketing. But it would be really good to have some input there.
Yeah, because it's interesting because as you scale and as you get more people and you get closer to product market fit because you've got the right features for the right people at the right time, then you're going to start scaling it, and that's when the trick really comes in. So I think, Renier, that question we should ask Trevor in a couple more months when they've got more traction and see what he says then.
Yeah. And I think it's understanding who your highest value paying customers are. We know,
Exactly.
like I mentioned earlier, like who they are and why they're coming, and often that is they're being pushed out of another platform. Those are we want more of those customers. The freemium customers, they're coming on their own now, and that will scale. So it's about identifying those audiences and how you're going to reach them and reaching them in a way that you can convert.
Cool. Yeah.
You want me
Thumbs
to
up
tell you
from
a
Renier.
funny story?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was at a startup evening recently, and I was telling people about the traction that we'd received, and saying that we'd got like 3,000 registrations in a very short space of time. And the guy said to me, "No, that's BS. Show me." So I opened the Slack channel where we have all of our built links that go into Slack, and I just tapped on the first one, and lo and behold, it was not a great looking site for male escorts. And so this is another thing that people don't tell you about building a free software application, is you also got to put checks and balances into place. So we've had it all. We've had to shut down, disable, and improve our community guidelines in terms of what people are allowed to do. We've had people selling marijuana. We've had various other things like family planning clinics that could be illegal, FX traders. So there's not a lot of them, but it does exist. And I think this is actually a friend of mine actually warned me about this right when we get going. He said, "What are you going to do about this?" And we put checks and balances into the product right in the beginning, but people still have ways. So you can't register expletive type URLs, that type of stuff, but people still have ways and means. So yeah, that was quite an embarrassing moment. And it certainly didn't seem like a good use case. He had a good sense of humor. And
yeah, I love that story.
Decide whether you want to keep that in the podcast or not.
No, that's staying. That is absolutely staying.
But you know what? Eskom's push had the same issue. So they actually featured on Carte Blanche because of this. So they launched that community chat feature. I don't know if you've seen that, Trevor, but I mean, you can chat to people in the street, go, "Hey, it's the power of whatever." And then, Oaks selling drugs start using it as a way to tell people around them that they're selling. And then Carte Blanche did a whole feature on it. Like, poor Oaks, they just tried to do a community service. Next thing on freaking Carte Blanche, getting hammered for enabling drug sellers. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's wild out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think you've got to have your head in the clouds and your feet on the ground, and it's the internet. So people are going to do what they're going to do. And exactly. It's definitely something that the team, we've had to figure out exactly where our responsibilities lie and be very clear about what we immediately don't allow, and dig into things. Because I think if someone is claiming that they have got a cure for cancer, for example, and they've got some site like that, we need to be really careful about what we allow people to put out there. So I think it's an important part of just staying close to what people are doing on the platform, and so that it doesn't do something like destroy your brand, as you
100%
want to make traction for the right reasons.
Yeah, I love that story because product led, where these freemium trials come into play, is still quite fresh in South Africa, and these stories just make you say, hey, just make sure before you give your platform away for free, what are your guidelines? That's a nice awakening for me, because I'm literally going to be going down one of these roads soon in the products I'm working on. So thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been an interesting one to kind of like see. Sometimes you just got to like close things very quickly.
Yeah. All right. So we're wrapping up, Trevor. This was great. And for someone that did their research, you're still not going to escape our lightning round. It's very quick questions that you have to fly. You have no idea what's coming, and just tell us the first thing that's on your mind. But the first one is very easy, and it's just a general thing. It's to help people build their libraries. If you had what book have you read, or recommendation you have for our listeners to read?
So the one I'm busy with at the moment is Continuous Discovery Habits by Teresa Torres. And it's all about getting close to customers and building a continuous feedback loop.
Love it. Love it. I finished it a little while ago. Great. Make it continuous. You hear people that, oh, we did all this research 2 months ago. Okay. And since then?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I love that. That's awesome. Trevor, you've been, so across your career, advice that you've received from somebody that stood with you and that you feel the next founder should know?
Actually, that's really hard. That's a really hard question. I think it is actually what we spoke about in terms of perfectionism. So a friend of mine who moved to Barcelona said, "Perfect is the enemy of good," and I've learned that launching product.
Like that a lot. So talking about habits or continuous habits, what habits do you have that is contributing to the success of Orcs and Now Savvy?
So I try to get away from the computer as often as I can. I dive in the ocean, and I have some of my best, clearest moments when I'm out, like in the sea. And I think, as an entrepreneur, I feel like you're always working, you're always thinking about your business and your product, and you've got to step away. And that really helps me, clears my head, and gives me focus on like where we really need to go next. So yeah, it's important to have downtime.
Yeah, go for walks, they say.
Yeah.
Renier, I'll leave you with one last question to give Trevor.
Trevor, what is your favorite email newsletter?
It is
Drum roll, please.
newsletter. I would have to say, like, my podcast, How Would You Build It, is really, really interesting. I was listening to the episode from last week. It was really, really good. So I'm really stoked with what you guys are doing for local startup founders, and it's great to hear local stories. So thanks for what you guys are doing.
Okay, lovely having you here, Trev.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, appreciate it. And that's it for today, folks. Please look out for us, subscribe, like, and do all those lovely things. And Trevor, thank you very much for joining, and we'll definitely be paying attention to your journey in the next couple of months.
Thanks so much for having me.